Okay, so I spent about a week or so watching Mobile Suit Gundam Quux with Clay. I think by the time we started watching it, I think there were 11, I think episode 11 had just come out, so we'd watch like a couple episodes a night, a couple episodes a night, with the intent of watching the finale on the day it dropped, which we did, and Jose joined us for the finale. We had a good roommate bash watching it. And a constant thought I had while watching GQUUUUUX was, this is okay, but when does it get good? And having finished the series, I genuinely can't say that it does get good. I don't think it was bad for most of its run. It's like, this is okay. There's definitely potential. But man, I can't wait to see it capitalize on that. I can't wait to see where it's like trying to take me. And when it gets there, when it gets to its ending, fucking yikes, man. To go over just the basic, so the way I want to structure this, like, I'm gonna give like a basic foundation and plot without spoilers, give my overall opinion again without going into spoilers, and then go into spoilers. Like, this is what happens, and this is why I really don't like the show. So, basic plot, I do think GQUUUUUX has a pretty solid foundation. There's these three kids, Machu, Nyan, and Shuji, who enter what's called clan battles, which are essentially like underground mobile suit. Sorry, I'm remembering the thing in Big Hero 6 where Hero has like his own little robot and he's entering like robot cockfights underground. It's basically that, but with fucking mobile suits. So yeah, this is cool as hell. And the premise is they're doing this so they can earn enough money to leave their colony so they can go down to the Earth. Machu is this well-off but pretty aimless slacker who's looking for direction in her life. Shuji is this homeless artist with these really beautiful drawings. And Nyan is an immigrant struggling to live in a world that doesn't want her. Meanwhile, this admittedly pretty low-stakes story has this backdrop of an AU where Zeon won the 1-year war. And kind of trying to explore some of the fallout of that. It's like, okay, Giran Zabi is still alive, Kycilia is still alive, and while they're technically on the same side because they're both part of Zeon, there's a lot of like interfaction wars and spies and shit happening because it's very, I think they even say it's been 5 or so years since the war ended and they have not met in person once because they just don't trust each other. No one knows where Char is. They call it a Zek Nova, but essentially his Gundam, because he stole the Gundam, Amuro never got it, and that's why they won the war, and I fucking love that. Like, his Gundam went Zek Nova, and it like, exploded, so no one knows where the fuck he is. Everyone kind of assumes he's dead. But his ideals of wanting to make a world for new types still lives on. But people are also not sure if new types exist, if that's just like a propaganda thing, etc., etc. His subordinate, Shalia Bull, is very passionate about, I don't want to say he's a very reserved character most of the time, but he does have this firm belief in Char, and I think he calls him to the captain, refers to him as the captain. But Captain Char's ideals, I want to make that world for new types. I want to see the captain's ideals come to fruition. The GQUUUUUX is his Gundam, but he doesn't pilot it. It's like the Gundam of his organization, essentially. But it ends up getting used by Machu. Stolen is really the best word. She ends up stealing it, using it in the clan battles, and while they know that, like, hey, that's our Gundam that's being used, Shalia's letting them use it to kind of see what the Gundam is capable of. It's like, it was still in the early phases, kind of still in the testing phases. I want to see what it's capable of with a pilot that can really use it. And when it's time, we'll take it back. And that's like your basic premise and foundation. So, stopping right now to just go ahead and give my overall opinion on GQUUUUUX without diving into spoilers, because oh boy, there's a lot to talk about with that. I read a tweet like a day or two after the finale that I think is a pretty apt summary of how I feel about the show. So shout out to at high_torto for this tweet. Quote, in regards to GQUUUUX's issues. Quote, hasty pacing, stuttering plot, messy themes, weak character interactions, undercooked, underbaked, all smoke, no meat. There's something like three or even four interesting stories in GQUUUUX, and I wish I could have seen any single one of them play out properly, but it's alright, I guess. End quote. I'm sorry, but all smoke, no meat has now been something Clay and I have been quoting to each other, especially in the context of GQUUUUX. And yeah, I feel like that's pretty accurate. Underbaked is a phrase a word I was saying a lot to myself while watching it. And by the end, I don't feel like that was inaccurate. I think if you're a Gundam fan and you're really interested in seeing an AU where Zeon won the 1-year war, and yeah, what is some of the fallout of that? What are some of like political maneuverings that we're gonna see and shit? I think you'll maybe get the itch scratched a bit, but it's still really gonna itch. Like, it's not gonna satisfy you from that. It's the backdrop of the story, but it's not really what the story's about. So I can't recommend it on that front. I think if you're a new fan wanting to get into Gundam, I don't recommend it from that perspective either. I don't think it's a very good representation for what Gundam is. In that regard, I would recommend starting from scratch with 79, or I would recommend Witch from Mercury, because that's the show that really got me into Gundam, or I would just recommend War in the Pocket. I think it's a perfect encapsulation of everything Gundam is in 6 episodes. If you're interested in the show, watch it. I will always recommend that if you are interested in something, regardless of my feelings on it, unless it's like active propaganda or some shit, I will always recommend watch it yourself, give your own thoughts. But based on my own enjoyment, I really can't recommend GQUUUUX to kind of anyone, I guess. I don't know. I don't think I really took anything good out of this show. Like, it's pretty to look at. I guess, you know, I was going to do this at the end, talk about the few things I did. I guess some of them are spoilery, so I shouldn't. I guess I will leave it for the end. It's not that I completely hated everything about it. Again, like, the show looks great for sure. So I guess if you just want to see the animation, like some cool mech fights, it's good for that. But genuinely, for me, there's not much else I really took from this show. With that said, full spoilers going forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers are live. So, like I said, there's basically 2 stories. There's the backdrop of Zeon winning the war, which, yeah, by the time of the show's end, while it feels like this is a major thing that's going to happen, it's kind of just window dressing. And then the main story for the first half is you've got the clan battles and your main trio. But then when you get to the halfway point of the series, these 2 stories kind of combine. Shuji ends up going supernova, so no one knows where the fuck he is, if he's even still alive. Machu ends up getting captured by Shalia Bull, and it seems like, oh, okay, like, she's now taken prisoner, she's probably gonna, like, join their faction, or they're gonna try to get her to join the faction. No, they just kind of let her escape with the Gundam, get her back, and then are like, nah, you can go do whatever and take the Gundam, and I don't fucking know. Nyan ends up under Kaecilia's wing, because Kaecilia's like, look, I kind of need a Gundam pilot, and at one point she did pilot the GQUUUUX. She gets her own Gundam called the G-Fred. I fucking hate the Gundam names of the show, by the way. I'm sorry, like, the GQUUUUX or the Quux, like, it's goofy. From what I understand, it's some, like, mathematical formula or variable, so I'll give it some credit. but I can't say it without thinking of DuckTales. Like, it's like I hear Quux and I think Quacks just from looking at him. Like, yeah, this sounds like a Duckverse kind of character. And so whenever we were gonna watch, it's like, all right, Clay, you ready to Quux? We're gonna be Quuxing today. He's like, don't say that. I fucking hate it. But the G Fred, like, I don't know if this has meaning, if it stands for something, if it's named after some famous mathematician, but I can't take a mobile suit seriously when it just sounds like a dude. It's why anytime in Zeta, they're like, all right, who's gonna pilot the Rick Diaz? Like, that just sounds like a dude's name. Like, it's just funny to me. It's like, all right, there it is. Yo, that's my G Fred. Like, I can't. It's just goofy. And that's maybe intentional. It's probably intentional. Like, let's just give the mobile suit some goofy names. And yeah, that's fun. But it means I'm already... For me, I don't feel like I'm laughing with the show at the goofy names. I feel like I'm laughing at the show with the goofy names. And I don't know. It's just... It's not a great start from there. But anyways, so our two characters end up with these factions. Again, Machu, not really, and Nyan, she does, and I'll get into her character a bit later, and why I really like her, and why I also kind of don't. But our second half is really just trying to focus on Nyan's development with Kycilia, and just some of the shit that happens with Machu. Like, she ends up going to Earth, she meets this world's version of Lala, and the growing conflict between the Giran faction and the Kycilia faction, and then Char ends up entering the picture. So Giran Zabi finally shows up like 10, 11 episodes in and immediately dies. Like, oh, cool, well, I'm glad we were building up to Giran fucking Zabi still being alive and the crazy shit he was gonna be doing just for him to amount to nothing. But I guess Kycilia killing him is always a canon event. Speaking of which... She dies in the same way. Speaking of canon events, is that Char? Plus her with a bazooka. And again, I did not like the finale. I fucking hated the climax of this show. That was the one thing that I loved. It's like, look, some of the fan service in this show from like a sexual perspective, but from a like, all right, do you enjoy Gundam? Here's some fun shit. Not a lot of it really did much for me. That was gold. And like, again, watching it with Clay and Jose, none of us were getting into the finale. We all like fucking clapped when the Kycilia scene happened. Because that is just gold. But yeah, like, Kycilia kills Giran. Nyan ends up using this super weapon that kills a fuck ton of people that somehow Char from the shadows was able to convince like Kycilia to build or some shit, I guess. The reason he was trying to build it is so he could kill Lala, but not this world's Lala. The Alpha Timeline's Lala. Because this is a multiverse story all of a sudden. And the Lala of the Alpha Timeline, which is not 79, by the way, because in the Alpha Timeline, during that final battle, I guess not technically the final battle, but when Char and Amuro were fighting and Lala died, in the Alpha Timeline, Char died instead. Char died for Lala. She was so traumatized by that, she then universe hopped, went to like a multiverse to try to find one where Char wasn't killed by the White Gundam. And she has been hopping ever since and just creating universes. And currently, the GQUUUUUX universe is the only universe where Char's not killed by the White Gundam. I'm gonna talk about that now. I was gonna save it for a little bit later, because there's some other shit that happens to the climax. Let me go over the rest of the climax real quick. So, Shuji is not someone from this universe. He's like from the Alpha Timeline or some other universe. He's trying to kill Alpha Lala so she can rest and not like, keep continuing her search because he loves her, whether it's a romantic love or not. And he's like, wait, if, you know, she can make universes, we can take things from universes. Why don't I do that? So he summons a Gundam from that timeline, and it's like the OG granddaddy piece of shit Gundam, which, yeah, in modern, it looks like, not to say that it looked bad in class. Like, I call it the piece of shit just because it's like really old, but it still looks classic, still looks good. And yeah, seeing it in a modern art style, it looks good as fuck. But he, like, summons it from a timeline like he opened the fucking gate of Babylon. Sorry, and I'm actually thinking about that now. I'm like, hold on a second. Could Gilgamesh, like, theoretically summon a fucking Gundam? I mean, no, because the whole point of the Gate of Babylon is, you know, it's all of the Earth's treasures, and so, yes, as the king of heroes, or the original hero, everything would flow from him, so he has access to everything. But because Gundam is explicitly fiction, no. But theoretically, if Gundams exist, I guess if there was a Grail War in the Universal Century, which now I kind of want to see now that I'm saying it out loud, but anyways, if that were to happen, yes, Gilgamesh would probably have fucking mobile suits in the Gate of Babylon. I'm sorry, just the fucking concept. He's like, alright, let me get my Psycho Gundam real quick. It's so... No, it'd be like the Hyakushigi because it's gold. He would want something that looks like very pretty or very gaudy. I don't know, maybe he'd probably look like the Banshee. That is a nice goal. I love the Banshee. Anyways, I'm getting really fucking distracted now that I'm thinking about this, but... Yeah, so Shuji Gate of Babylon's the OG Gundam, starts piloting it. Machu and Yan now team up, fight him, and it's genuinely a really cool fight, and I almost hate how much I enjoyed watching. It's like, look, I don't give a shit about what's happening anymore, but at least it looks cool. So Shuji's getting his ass kicked. The Gundam then turns like bleach white, which looks really nice. Gets giant, and they're like, yeah, this isn't an illusion or some shit. He just changed the Gundam's mass. And then they beat Shuji and have a talk, and then he, like, I don't know. Did he die? Did he just kind of ascended to the new type ether the way, like, Amuro and Char did in CCA? I'm not even really fucking sure, and I'm gonna be honest, by this point, way before this point, I just checked out and stopped giving a shit entirely. But he's, like, gone. Machu's now apparently a wanted terrorist, even though Nyan's the one that used the weapon, and she and Nyan are just chilling on Earth, and that's basically the end of the series. Oh boy. Oh boy. So that's the spoilers of, like, the spoilers of what happened. Now I just want to talk about why I don't like it. I had a whole thing. I was gonna start by talking about the characters and doing all that shit. I'm just gonna start with the multiverse. This thing fucking sucks. And here's why. And I feel like I should start by saying this. The idea of a Gundam multiverse kinda fucks. Like a giant crossover series, and I don't know if that's ever happened as like an anniversary special. I'm also pretty sure that's kind of what Super Robot Wars is. I think it's more than just Gundam. I know, like, Minky Momo is in some of them, at least. And I don't mean that as just a joke for Hamon Karn. Like, no, like, Minky Momo is actually a fucking character who interacts with Hamon Karn. And, like, that's just funny as hell to me. But from what I understand, that's kind of a Gundam multiverse in its own way. I don't know, maybe Build Fighters, like, kinda, sorta, but not really. Anyways, but, like, a genuine Gundam multiverse show, I'd watch it. I think that could be really fun. My problem is kind of threefold. Number one, this really comes out of nowhere. We're not dealing with multiverse. I mean, again, like, we know from episode 1, I think there's a point in the first episode, like, the second episode is just some of the flashbacks, like Char takes the Gundam, and then, like, winning the war and shit. So we know this is an alternate universe, because Zeon didn't win the war in 79, and, like, you see, is its own canon. But we don't know that, yeah, the multiverses are interacting. That does not happen until the end. yes, I suppose, like, Shuji's been here the entire time, but we don't know he's from another timeline or another universe. We have kind of no reason to think that. Maybe if I rewatched, I'd be like, okay, there's some foreshadowing here, but I have no intention of rewatching the show. I really don't. It really just feels like, hey, here's some bullshit at the end of the show. Have at you. Which leads to kind of the second problem. I don't think the how is very well explained. It's just like, oh yeah, like Lala's trauma from seeing Char die. She also makes this fucking face when she sees it happen. And I was howling with laughter when I saw it. It's supposed to be like, yo, she's very emotional. She's very distraught. I'm like, I'm sorry. This is so over the top. I cannot take this seriously. It's like, oh, so her emotions were so strong, she started multiverse hopping? I mean, I get it. She's a new type. New types can, like, do shit. But what? It's like, it's the Rose of Sharon. It's like her ship. It's like, look, that ship is not so advanced. It could go across the fucking multiverse, even with a new type piloting it. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, to me, it feels like some of the worst parts of Eva, and I say this because Hideaki Anno is one of the writers on the show, where sometimes it feels like shit just kind of happens and is not always very well explained, whether that's intentional or not, because there's a lot of things in Eva that are very well explained, whether you kind of understand it or follow it or not. This just feels like, yeah, like, here's just enough bullshit to kind of get us by, and if you buy it, great, and if you don't, well, you should, because it's what happened, it's how it works. Like, no, it doesn't. Here's the big problem. Not that the first two aren't big problems. They really fucking are. Because, again, nothing in the show really builds up to a multiverse. So I feel like I'm watching a completely different show at this point. And I don't think it's explained well enough from the how perspective to make me buy it. But what really grinds my gears is the whole, yeah, so Lala saw Char die and wants to find a universe where that doesn't happen. And that's why this show exists. It's so she has that universe. 79 exists! Char didn't get killed by the White Gundam there. There's an argument that while he didn't get killed by the White Gundam there, ultimately come Char's counterattack, he does. Because he does die. Yes. Is it technically a death? Like, do they die? Do they ascend to a higher plane of existence? Is it the same thing? Like, there's an argument there, and it happens while fighting the White Gundam, yes. But number one, Amuro doesn't kill him. You can argue, because it's the psycho frames that trigger it, Char kind of killed himself, because he's the one who came up with the psycho frames, and then sends them to Amuro. So it's not during that scene, like, where Lala dies, so it's like, that's not when it happens. Char is kind of at fault for it. Amuro's really not at fault for it. He does not kill him. And then, in that same timeline and same continuity, is where you get Unicorn, my beloved fucking Gundam Unicorn, where one of the last things you see are the spirits of Char, Lala, and Amuro just existing in harmony with each other. So clearly, there is a universe that exists where Char didn't get killed by Amuro's Gundam, and their spirits live happy. And that's the original fucking timeline that already exists. So, by the show's own logic of this is the only universe where Char's alive, or even like where Lala can be happy with Char. No, it's fucking not, because the original already happened. By your own logic, you have no reason to exist. What the fuck? This is so dumb. Like, bad fan fiction where it's like, man, I really wanted these two characters to be together, so I'm gonna write a universe where that happens. That's what GQUUUUUX feels like by the end, and wow, to me, it loses all credibility once that happens. Like, once that realization sets in, and you realize how little of the rest of the show fucking mattered in the long run, wow, what was the point of this? And here's the thing, there's a really easy way to fix that. Again, the first two problems are their own problems, but here's how you fix the third one. Instead of saying, Lala wants a universe where Char doesn't die or isn't killed by the White Gundam, you can just say she wants a universe where none of the three died that day. Like, she keeps trying this, she keeps going to different worlds, and either Char kills Amuro, Amuro kills Char, or Amuro kills Lala. One of them has to die, and she does not want to die, but she doesn't want to lose the two of them. And she's trying to find the Steins Gate. She's trying to find that world line where she can get the outcome she wants, but she keeps not finding it. And Shuji, who knows her for whatever reason, is so tired of seeing her hurt because this is exhausting to her. Or maybe, you know, the original Alpha Lala, like, only has so much time left or so much energy left. Like, she is going to die if I don't stop her. I have to destroy this world because that will send her back to her timeline where she can actually live. With or without Char, with or without Amuro. And it would, again, the other problems would still be there. I would want the show to build up to a fucking multiverse in some way, or have it happen a little bit earlier, not just at the very end. I would want the explanation for how this works to make a bit more sense. Like, look at Love Alternative. Worked really fucking well there. But you can at least make, like, the emotional reason be something that makes sense, that I can go, you know what, that did not happen in the original show. I could buy this being a canon event, that someone has to die that day, and it's impossible for her to stop it. And because she is running on empty, Shuji says, I have to bring her back home. I'm sorry, Machu. I'm sorry, Nyan. But I'm here for her. I was never here for y'all. I will damn all of you to save her. For whatever reason, and I would want, you know, that to have some build up too. It's like, okay, this is why he cares about her so much. It just, wow, none of that shit worked for me. Now let's talk about the other problems I have with this show. I just wasn't very invested in the cast. Like, almost in its entirety. There's a lot of fucking characters in GQUUUUUX, but I couldn't tell you about most of them. Like, the clan they joined, the Pomeranians, there's like 4 or 5 of them. And I remember their designs, because the design... I think I heard that it's the same designer as, like, someone who does, like, character designs for Pokemon. And even without knowing that going in, I would look at them and say, like, these look like Pokemon trainers. Like, one of the dudes in the Pomeranians, he's like the jerk guy who wears the glasses. Great description, I just described myself. I remember talking about it with Clay, and I was like, this looks like the dude who battles me over one of the fossils in Mount Moon. Like, the same, like, what are they, like, Pokemaniacs, like, same dude. The leader of the Pomeranians what's her name, like, Plumera? I don't remember her name. But one of the admins from Team Skull from Pokemon Moon, like, she just kind of looks like her. I don't know, like, she looks like her if she got her life together and became, like, a stable businesswoman or some shit. I don't know. Like, I like the designs, but I couldn't tell you a damn thing about any of their characters. You've got Shalia Bull and his staff, and it's like, no, I feel like there's some interesting shit with Shalia Bull. I really liked his backstory when we get to it. Not just, oh yeah, I knew Char. It's like, yeah, I was on Jupiter and shit went whack. and I didn't think I was going to be able to go home. And then it hit me. I don't have to go home. I don't have to live up to anyone's expectations anymore. I don't have to adhere to anyone's plans anymore. I'm free. That's kind of interesting. It's, again, like, he's maybe the only character I kind of feel something for by the end of the show. It's not a lot, because a lot of his weird shit with Machu, and again, not like a creepy weird, but just a, hey kid, you know, I'm just gonna let you, like, and maybe that's the whole point, is like, yo, he just kind of hit emotional freedom, so he doesn't give a shit anymore. He's like, you can do whatever you want. But just the whole conversation where he's like, hey kid, you remind me of this gun I had, because I was free, and I was gonna kill myself, but I didn't, because I was able to get home. Hey, you believe in freedom now, you want my gun? What the fuck? Like, it's such a weird conversation. I don't know. Like I said, he's the character I feel like I like the most. It's not saying much. And his staff, they're just kind of there. Like, I don't even remember the ensign's name. She's on screen a lot. I couldn't tell you a damn thing about her, except, like, she's kind of cute, and she procures some clothes for Machu. Like, that was kind of nice. And she, like, cares about the Xavier dude, but they don't really interact a lot. I remember Xavier because I remember he just kind of keeps jobbing and is just always losing. But that's also kind of it. And at the end, he's like, no, I want to create a world for new types. Fuck you, Shalia Bull. You killed Kycilia. Like, you were part of that shit. And he's like, I don't know. I want to create a world for new types too. Okay, I'm with you again. Like, okay, whatever, dude. I'll pretend I give a shit about you. And then there's our main trio. There's Machu, Yan, and Shuji. I already said I don't really like the characters, so it's pretty clear it includes the three of them. I want to talk about what I like about them, because there is a unifying theme with these three characters, and it's that concept of freedom. Like, what does it mean to be free? And it's like, to them, the Gundam, being in a Gundam, piloting a Gundam, it gives them that sense of freedom. But what does that mean for each of them? For Machu, it lets her escape the pressures and expectations of her life, of her family, of her really nice school. It lets her just kind of relax and unwind. She's able to have fun. She's able to let loose. That's kind of neat. For Nyan, it's giving someone who has had to struggle her entire life, who's had to deal with discrimination and dirty looks her entire life, it gives her a sense of power and control. And for Machu, it's like, I get to let loose. I get to just chill. For Nyan, letting loose is like playing Doom. Like, this is my outlet. And I will say, yeah, I think it's episode 5 is when she first pilots the GQUUUUUX, and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm really scared. I'm really overwhelmed. And then it clicks, and she just goes ham. One of the best moments in the show. Like, genuinely, unironically, that's not a, the rest of the show sucks, but this is okay. That is like a great Gundam moment. Absolutely loved it. And for Shuji, he's someone who's just kind of living his best life. He's like, yeah, you know, like, I don't really have a home, and I'm hungry all the time, but I just get to chill. I just get to be with my Gundam. I just get to paint. I make these beautiful paintings. I'm just chilling, dude. I'm just happy. And Machu and Yan, both after they... For Yan, it's specifically after she pilots the Gundam. I don't remember for Machu. I think she was already interested in Shuji. And then... No, maybe I'm getting it wrong. But Shuji is the representation of freedom, which is why they both like him so much. I feel like it's less of, I really like Shuji for who he is. I really like Shuji. I like the idea of Shuji, not that I really like Shuji. That's kind of how I get it, because also as new types, they like see his soul, they see all his colors, they call it the kira kira, which I believe is, it's like a Japanese onomatopoeia for something being sparkly. So to me, like whenever I heard it, I always just kind of thought it was like the shiny or like the shining lights. Essentially, that's kind of what they mean whenever they say that. And whenever you see the kira kira, it's really fucking pretty. So again, like all the problems I have with the show, the visuals are generally not one of them. And I think in nose get really itchy. I think in theory, this idea of Shuji represents freedom to them. This is what they want to be free from. That's why they're so into Shuji and shit. Like, okay, that works in theory. The execution is where it gets a little weak for me, because number one, I just don't like Machu. I don't dislike her, but I just didn't care. Like, her story about being someone who's very aimless and lacking ambition is just something I personally cannot relate to. I've been someone who's always like, these are the goals I have, the things I want to accomplish. I have had moments in my life where I've been like, look, man, I feel a little lost. I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing. But I've always had like something, you know? And so her just like, yeah, I don't really know. I don't really care. It just doesn't relate. I do get that, like, she does have a lot of expectation and pressure put on her, and you can tell there's not the best relationship with her mom, because her mom is like a businesswoman. I wasn't exactly sure. I think she's a government worker, and there is this one scene that I do like, where Machi's having like a parent-teacher conference, and it's clear she and her teacher have been there for a while just waiting for her mom to show up, and then her mom finally shows up. Machi's happy to see her, and her mom's like, hey, what the fuck am I hearing about, like, you doing bad at school, or like you ditching school? And then Machi kind of goes from like, Mom, you're here, to, okay, I guess we're doing this now. Like, okay, that's a good scene. I like that. And I think there's breadcrumbs of that throughout, which is why I can be like, okay, like, this is why she's so into piloting the Gundam. It's the freedom from like this and all that kind of stuff. But I just didn't get that invested in the relationship with her mom, or the lack thereof. And even the goal she has, which is, I want to go to the Earth and I want to swim in the ocean. It's a very low stakes goal, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know, I actually kind of fuck with that. I think my problem is, for me, it didn't come across as, this is really, really important to me. Like, this is why I want to swim in the ocean. This is, like, it's something I wanted to do my whole life. Or, you know, like, if I can do this one thing, like, for me, then I can go to school and I can focus. Then I can do whatever my parents want me to do. Blah, 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 blah. But this is for, like, it didn't feel that important, even to Machu. It felt more of a, yeah, I guess this is kind of what I want to do, so I guess this is the goal I'll kind of work toward. I don't know. Maybe for other people, it's something that connected with them better. For me, it just didn't. So throughout the show, she kind of felt very underbaked and felt very flat. Like, there's a foundation for a character here for me to get really invested in. It just never really clicked. Like, I look back on Witch from Mercury and like Miorine, and how her story is also about the expectations of her father. And, you know, my father is this government worker. He runs the fucking government. He's like, I am his tool. Like, he wants to marry me off. And like, I'm just another piece on his chessboard rather than being his daughter. And you see how that affects her. You see like the things it pushes her toward, and like how it's this really core part of her character. And with Machu, I'm like, I feel like it's supposed to be, and it almost kind of is. For me, it just never came together. Okay, now I think we have Nyan. So here's the thing with Nyan. Her joining Kycilia makes a lot of sense to me. You know, part of it is like, all right, a bunch of shit just happened. Zavi's like, hey, I know you piloted the Gundam that one time, so like, I think you are just the permanent pilot of it, and you did a really good job. Do you want to join my leader? And she's like, I have nowhere else to go. Sure. So she joins, and Kycilia treats her well. She shows her, like, respect. She values her as basically, like, you're going to be my right-hand man. Like, not quite, but it's like, you're going to be, like, one of my elites. You're going to have your own Gundam. You're going to have your own room. I'm going to feed you well. You're going to have shelter. Making this person, whether it is genuine or manipulative, like, it's definitely manipulative. Kycilia wants something out of this. But she is being treated well. She is being appreciated. She's being valued. Yeah, I can see why this person would say, I want to be here. I want to work for this person. When she says jump, I say how high. When she says kill, I say how many. I buy that 100%. The problem is, I don't feel like the show really delves into that. Like, again, like, the pieces are there. Like, I can see. I think here's the problem. The real, genuine fucking problem is, like, this is here. This is good. Like, when Nyan is told to fire the weapon, she just does it, kills I don't know how many fucking people. A lot. Like, this is an all-time war crime in Gundam. And she doesn't bat an eye. Then, when Machi... I don't know why I formed like that. But... I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just now thinking of, like, 3D movies. Like, whoa! Anyways, when Machu shows up in the climax to confront Nyan, the conversation is essentially, Nyan, what the fuck are you doing here? And Nyan's response isn't, I am here because I work for Kycilia. I am here because I feel valued. I'm here because piloting a Gundam makes me feel strong. I'm here because this is my choice and I am free to make my choice, or something like that. Showing, like, definitively, this is my character. This is what I'm all about, because that's what her character has been, and it makes sense. Her response is, I don't know, man. A lot has just happened, and, like, just shit's just been wild. I don't know what's going on. And I've got Clay on one side just laughing his ass off going, man, the characters, this just feels like an abridged series with Nyan just saying, like, dude, the writing in the show is so bad, I don't know why I'm here, man. And you've got Jose on the other side laughing because he's like, yeah, this just feels like a parody of Gundam where sometimes characters will just kind of do stupid shit, or characters who are allies will just start fighting each other without there really being a good context as to why. And they're kind of bringing that up because, yeah, they kind of have that talk, fight for a little bit, and then they're cool. I'm like, sure, okay. I get that, and I get that. But here's the problem. I, as the audience, know exactly why Nyan is here. That makes sense to me. Like, I understand her role in the story. I still don't know if I understand Machu's. Why are you here? Like, I know why you're here. You want to, like, save Shuji or whatever the fuck. You want to, like, save Lala. Sure, like, I buy that. But why did Shalia just let you go? I don't fucking know, man. I guess to stop Kaisa... I know that. Okay, I can actually buy that. Like, if I let you go, you'll probably interfere with whatever crazy shit Kycilia is doing. I don't want her doing crazy shit. Okay, so I will buy that. I will kind of take back what I was saying about Shalia in a negative way. I'll do that. But again, Nyan, who has a perfectly good reason for being here, saying, dude, I don't fucking know why I'm here. No, that actually made me really mad the more I thought about it. Because it felt to me like the writers wrote a character and didn't understand the character they wrote. And I know that sounds really fucking... like, actually, I'm the one who understands the show. You, the creators, don't. But that's just how it felt for me. And there are some moments of the three of them bonding. Like, there's this one scene of them all just, like, relaxing on the Gundam. It's like, oh, Shuji's just chilling. He's like, it feels so cool. And Yan's like, huh. And just, like, strips down, sits, and is like, yeah, this is comfy. And then Machu sees her strip and is just kind of like, hey, don't be stripping around my man. I guess I gotta do it too. But then it's like, no, the Gundam is really nice. Like, it's a bonding moment, but it's also kind of framed around Machu's like jealousy and insecurity, so it doesn't really feel like they're bonding. And it's shit like that that makes me not feel the connections between these three. Like, again, I look at Witch from Mercury and, like, Soletta spending time with the Earth group, or all the time she spent with Miorine and, like, the times in the garden. I think of War in the Pocket and all the times with, like, Al and Bernie, and then, like, going on these missions together, and Bernie telling Al all these stories, which are all, like, totally bullshit, but Al is buying it, and there's a connection forming, and you're like, this can only end well. Or like some of the shit in Zeta where, yeah, Camille punches a lot of people, and a lot of people punch Camille, but they are these fire-forged bonds because of the shit they have been through together as pilots and as teammates. And I just never really got that sense of, like, these fire-forged bonds or these genuine bonds. It just fell flat. The AU of Zeon winning the war, to me, it's kind of underbaked as well. I think just that as its own series would fucking rule. I would love to see it. But as I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, where the fuck is Giran Zabi? Like, he's still alive. Why isn't he doing anything? Oh, there he is. I can't wait to see this all come to a head, and he's dead. Okay. They mentioned that Garma retired from the military, and he's just kind of living his best life. Like, okay, that's cool. But now that, like, your siblings are running the show and they very clearly hate each other, are you not, like, trying to play peacemaker between the two of them? Like, just to make sure that, you know, the noble Zeon Empire gets to live well and, you know, prosper and all that shit? Don't you want your family to, I don't know, function? And the whole thing later with Shalia's like, no, Char, I think you're fucking crazy because I know who you are, which I kind of love, by the way. He's like, I'm actually working with your sister Artesia. I'm like, she's going to be the ruler of Zeon once these two fuckers are dead. I'm like, okay, well, number one, again, we still have Garma, don't we? Like, he's, from what I remember, like, was not the same, like, crazy asshole as Giran fucking Zabi. Why didn't you try to put him on the throne? I mean, obviously, Char wouldn't want that, but I don't know. I don't know, maybe he's not a new type. He's probably not a new type, so I could assume that's why Shalia wouldn't want to do it. But it feels like Garma could have done something in this world now that he's retired and he just doesn't. And like, oh, you're working with Sayla. Hi, Sayla. You were not in the show at all. So, again, you kind of feel like a wasted character. Sorry, I was just looking at my notes. Like, who else am I forgetting? Oh, yeah, basically anyone from Zeta. Because I think this show actually takes place around when Zeta does, like a couple years before or a couple years after. I'm like, look, yeah, like, where's Camille? What is, is Camille even alive? I mean, yeah, like the 1 year, yeah, it was only 1 year, like, he would have been alive before the war happened. So, like, where's Camille? Where's Haman Karn? Where's, I mean, I know where Lieutenant Quattro is. Like, we fucking see Bask Ohm of all people. So I'm like, okay, so I guess at least to some degree the Titans are still around. I mean, obviously those characters would be around unless they died in the 1 year war in this version. Like, yeah, where are some of these other people? If you're doing a whole ass AU, I'd like to see them. Oh, you know who else I would really like to see in an AU where Zeon won the war because Amuro didn't get to pilot the Gundam? Fucking Amuro! Where is he? He's just not in the show. And apparently, because classic Gundam, by the way, having a really important plot point or detail that's just not in the show, like Glemmy Toto being the fucking test tube baby of Giran Zabi, like, that's not said in Double Zeta, but it's canon. Like, what the fuck? Apparently, the GQUUUUUX has a human soul in it because, what's his name? Shuji can, like, communicate with his Gundam and shit because this is Ava. They all have, oh, by the way, the G-Fry just straight up looks like Ava Unit 1. And to me, it was less of like, oh, that's cool fans. It was like, no, this is distracting. Like, this just looks like Ava Unit 1, but as a Gundam. What the fuck? Anyways, my point. Human souls in the Gundams, so it's very Ava-like. Apparently the soul in the GQUUUUUX is Amuro. Like, okay. How? Again, to me, the how is often very important. How the fuck did that happen? What? Okay. This is kind of dumb. Like I said, I think the pacing is kind of off too, with just the multiverse coming out of nowhere. The clan battle's like half the show, and it really doesn't amount to anything. If it really endeared me to the characters and their relationships, it would be great. I wouldn't have a problem, but it just didn't. And I already talked about the multiverse, so let me real quick, this has already been very long, talk about the things I liked. Number one, like I said, I don't really like the main trio, but I appreciate that there is a unifying theme between the three of them, and like you can identify what the theme is. I mean, the show does tell you as well, but it's like, yeah, it's all about freedom, but you can see what it means for all of them, how it relates to them, and I will give it credit that I think the theme is handled pretty well. Like I've also said, the show is gorgeous. The Kid is always incredible to see. Whether it's like you actually seeing it or just like Shuji's paintings, it looks great. The mech fights are usually pretty damn fun. I do really like the final fight, as much as I didn't give a shit about what I was watching. I also really like that look of the bleached Gundam. And turning giant for no reason is dumb, but I liked its coloration and its lighting. The fight with the witch in episode 4 is great. I said Nyan going like crazy is like an all-time like shit. I think it's great. The witch episode is easily my favorite of this series. To me, it was the first time watching GQUUUUUX where I thought, I remember like deadass at the end of the episode where Machu's just in horror after this woman died. I was like, congratulations, kiddo. You are officially in a Gundam show now. And I'll be honest, there's not a lot of moments throughout where I was like, I feel like I'm watching Gundam. But like episode 4, basically episodes like 4, 5, and 6, I really felt like I was watching Gundam. Everything else just, I don't know, kind of felt like something else. Speaking of episode 6, I have to give a shout out to was it episode 6? Maybe it's like episode 7, I'm getting a little confused. But just the rampage of the Psycho Gundams, like, this is really cool to watch. Also, as a Zeta fan, really happy to see the Psycho Gundam again. This is super neat. Is that sharp? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I think there's a solid foundation for this series to either explore like a low stakes story about a group of friends wanting to make some money so they can go down to the earth, and as it goes on, like the battles start getting more intense. They kind of start to wonder, like, is this worth it? Like, yeah, we want to go to the earth, and like Machu's like, I want to go to the earth so I can like swim in the ocean. Yan's like, I want to get the fuck out of here, and Shuji wants to do whatever the hell Shuji does. And they really start to wonder, is this worth it? Is this worth the strain on our bodies, on our minds? Is it worth the lives that we're taking? Not always intentionally, but like all the shit that's going on. And, you know, episodes like The Witch, where you get to really know the competitor as well. And you're like, I don't want to lose this person, but I might have to. Could have been a really good show. A show about Zeon winning the war and all the fallout from that. You know, that's the phrase I keep using. But like all like how that pans out would have been a really cool show. Seeing even just like a straight up Gundam multiverse, I think could have been a fun show. Or even the show as is of this low stakes thing, but the characters end up getting like, you got your main trio, one of them dies, the other two end up with opposing factions and are trying to like get back to each other, but make the like Machu's trying to get back to her friend, and her friend's like, no, like I'm happy where I'm at. I think could have also been a really good show. But as is, to me, GQUUUUX is a Kira. Like, it's, you know, this very pretty sparkling light, but it's not, like, it thinks it's gold, and it's trying to fool you into thinking it's gold, but it's just really shiny iron pyrite. Yeah. I think that's it.